Afternoon, and of course a perfect time of the year to be visiting the western fringes of the great Kruger National Park, where we find ourselves now in the Sabi sands on a reserve called Djuma. Those are wildebeest, of course, an iconic African animal, and this uniquely found in South Africa, or in southern Africa, and that of course is the blue wildebeest. My name is James Henry, and you can send through any questions you'd like to during the course of this broadcast, of course. Also, of course, Rory, you say, what is the temperature? Well, I'm sitting here in my shirt sleeves as we approach winter, and it's probably, I'm going to guess, about 24 degrees Celsius or so, about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and that for winter, of course, is a standard day out here. It's absolutely delicious. Let's go back to these wildebeest and watch them graze across the golden grasses here. And of course, if peace is ever something you wish to imbibe from the wilderness, well, an African sunset is the thing that is going to give it to you the best, quite possibly. That sun about to set over the Drakensberg Mountains to the far west of where we are now. One of the most magnificent mountain ranges, I think, in all the world. It stretches more than 1,000 kilometers from up north where we are here, down into Lesotho and Natal, and then down to the Great Eastern Cape Highlands, where, well, magnificent trout fishing, a whole lot of skiing sometimes actually as well. But one of the most entertaining things you can ever do out here in the wilderness, of course, is to be on foot.
And we are indeed on foot, and we've already had a lion on foot this afternoon. It is fantastic being in the African wilderness in Djuma in the Sabi Sands, South Africa, Greater Kruger National Park, where the sun sets every day around this time. We found ourselves moving back through a tambuti grove. Beautiful, beautiful trees. Impala are in the distance calling. It is the rutting season. They're making lots of noises. We can't find too many leopards at the moment because they're probably all on a male impala somewhere, busy feeding them. And so hopefully we'll find a leopard sometime soon. And the birds are calling. We've even got a little caterpillar that's busy wafting down into my hand. Look at that. You just have to walk here to find, and being on foot is the only way. There he goes. He was doing his little lifeline down from the tambuti tree to wherever. I don't know where he was going, but I might try to help him find his way down. Little caterpillar that, if he was feeding on the tambuti, would actually be highly, highly poisonous to eat. So let me put him back on the base of the tree over here, the plethora. So my name is Steve, and I'm with Seb on camera, and we're going to go from our little sunset here to someone else who's got a much nicer sunset just over there at Chitwa.
Well, yes, that sun is definitely starting to dip lower towards the horizon, and I'm sure that these hippos are going to start to be a little bit more active, heading out of the water sometime soon in order to go and graze, as they do in the evenings. And well, there is also a crocodile on the opposite bank. I'm not sure if we'll be able to see him there, far on the other side. There he is, just sunning himself with the blacksmith lapwings and double-banded plovers just walking in front of him, doing their wading as they do. Now, Rafael from Spain, thanks for commenting, and I agree with you. It is absolutely beautiful. Look at that lovely reflection of that dead tree as well, really making a picture-perfect moment with that crocodile and the birds and the African fish eagle up above. It is a really wonderful spot. Dan, yes, indeed. South Africa is a paradise for parks. We've got a multitude of different national parks throughout South Africa. The biggest one being the Kruger National Park, of course, which is a massive tract of land. And this is where we are situated at the moment. But in all the different biomes throughout the country, we've got beautiful national parks, and all well worth a visit. And so please do come out and join us in these beautiful wilderness areas. South Africa is really, it should be on every single person's bucket list. And I can tell you that once you've visited Africa, you will be coming back. And that's it for us for now from a beautiful setting overlooking Chitwa Dam in the Kruger National Park with our beautiful hippos. Well, there we go, everyone. So just for all the normal and usual visitors and viewers, we were just doing a South African tourism broadcast there. Just a little bit of promotion of our beautiful country that is South Africa and the animals and national parks that we have within them, within our country. So if you were confused as to why I was reintroducing myself and reintroducing the area, well, that's why. So we're still sitting and just enjoying this moment with all these animals here in this particular spot. So I'm thinking of moving along and trying to still look for our elusive cats. But we haven't seen James in a little while. I wonder what he's up to and if he's got any idea where our spotted cats are.
No idea where the spotted ones are, and I've just managed to re-find the tawny one, hoping he was going to sit up. I thought we were going to use this for our special broadcast that we've just done anyway. That's why we came back here. We might get him sitting up with the nice light on his face though, so let's wait here a little while. Hello! How's that, Vim? Any good for you? Yeah, switch off here. It's time to get up now. The sun is setting. Time for you to go down and have a drink. There's a little water hole not far from here. I can lead you there if you'd like. There's lots to eat there too. A couple of impala. They'll be rutting. They won't be paying attention. There's some nyala there as well. I would leave them alone. They're my favourite. A couple of wildebeest. Also possibly get them another year to just increase their numbers. So I think for you, old buddy, old pal, an impala be a good one for you to eat. Yes? Yum. Yes, and there's even one you don't have to kill if you go a little bit further than that. We found him today. Oh, look at you. Hello. Curver, I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to say no, probably not quite as much. You say do leopards sleep as much as lions? Interestingly, as I said on Saturday, I'm not sure if you were watching, I did some research on animals that sleep a lot, and of course the sloth, various species, are universally pilloried for their ability to sleep and their general indolence, but in fact they sleep less than lions do. So I'm not sure there are many creatures in the world, other than those that hibernate, that are able to sleep as profoundly as a lion can. I suppose there's a little opportunity to see if we can find some distinguishing marks on his face. William, can you see any distinguishing marks on his face? His nose is quite dark, although it does still have the pinkness of youth. He is quite dark-maned, but I also think his mane is matted with blood. I think he ate something not too long ago, probably not something very big. Yes, reptilian research, I agree with you. I think that maybe I should just wander up there and have a little snuggle with him. He does look a little morose and depressed. Would you like a hug? I think people also, it's probably time that we did a poll on the names, don't you think? I'm not going to do it right now. We'll obviously need to plan it slightly and decide sort of what category we're going to name them. I think it'd be quite nice to use a category different from the one that we used for the Birmingham boys, which was just basically to canvass the Shangaan speakers around here and ask them, and they came up with the 4 great names for the Birmingham boys. But maybe we need to classify these chaps slightly differently, maybe also in Shangaan, but actually give them like a, I don't know, maybe name them after food, like the hyenas of the North Clan in the Mara, or after famous legends or people of legend in the Tsonga culture. That's quite a nice one, actually. Say that again, Luke. The viewers are asking who speaks Swahili, or if I speak Swahili. Oh, that's very nice. I believe that you're quizzing each other as to who speaks Swahili. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that during the lion sighting. I hope you come up with somebody who speaks Swahili. David will be back on drive tomorrow if you have any Swahili words to ask. Oh, I see, in order to name the lions correctly. We're not going to use Swahili names down here, though, everybody. I think that we must reserve our Swahili names for the Mara lions. And we can use Xitsonga, or we could use some Zulu names as well, I suppose, if we wanted to, out here. So I think what I'm going to do is canvass around for some Shangaan names of legend. Kings and chiefs. Trouble is, they often have long names, like this chap called Tulila Mahashe, which basically meant he who quiets the horses. I'm not sure that Tulila Mahashe would be a particularly good one for one of these lions, although no one would forget it. We could name one Shaka. It's just yes, I suppose we could name one Shaka. We could name one Soshangane or Manukosi, who was the originator of the Shangaan people. We could name one, I'm trying to remember my Shangaan history, which was never particularly good, but I used to know some of it. There are lots of great names that we could use. So I'm going to suggest that's what we do. Right, I believe Ralph Kirsten has slowly in his nostrils got the smell of happiness's meal.
Well, everyone, I haven't left Chitwa concession completely. I've left the Chitwa Dam, but I'm still searching in the Chitwa area for some of our spotted cats. Let's hope that they may be up and around the airstrip. Maybe Hosana, Tingana, maybe they've decided to come back down this side. And well, it's always a nice spot to check. Just to the south of the airstrip, it's really sort of leopard, for me, country, because it's perfect type marula trees. And now I want to say amarula because I was talking about amarula liqueur earlier, which is also very nice. But I'd like to see one of the leopards up one of these marula trees that we're approaching now. There's a lone wildebeest. It's not bad when you get to an area like this that is usually full up with animals and there not being too many around at the moment, because that can sometimes indicate that there's predator presence. There are a few animals there, they're dotted around, but there's not as many as there usually are. Craig's just panning there a little bit. Euphemy, wildebeest normally weighs in, I would say, probably at about 120 to 150 kilograms. I could be wrong, but it's generally around that, and that's what's that, about 320 to about 350 pounds. So they are quite hefty and a lot bigger than you think. A lot of the animals are. I mean, like a female kudu, you can sit at about 80 kilograms. Matthew, I would say a big male leopard could definitely bring down a blue wildebeest. We used to have cheetah on one of the game reserves that I was managing in the Eastern Cape. That it was a 3-male coalition, but they used to take down. They specialised in black wildebeest, which is slightly smaller than the blue wildebeest. But yeah, so that just gives you an indication. A big male leopard could definitely score a wildebeest, I would say, but they generally aren't in the same kind of habitat, because the blue wildebeest more so in very much grassed areas, where the leopards are a little bit more in the thickets. So, and it's also quite risky for him to take on a big animal like a wildebeest, but definitely possible. Definitely possible. Like, for instance, on Quarantine, where there's all that big herd of wildebeest pretty much there every day, I would say that, any of Djuma or Quarantine or Hukumuri, even Tingana or Sana, they could try with those wildebeest. But there's lots of them, lots of eyes and ears, and so it's probably quite difficult for them. They need to try and lay up in ambush, or drop out of one of those marulas right onto the top of them. But generally their position is given away long before they even have a chance of ambushing a wildebeest, in open areas. It's probably most likely why it's not as common, or I haven't really heard much of leopard killing wildebeest. It's probably more so to do with the habitat, that they're not in the same type habitat on a regular basis. Whereas impala, baboons, warthogs, even steenbok, they're all in a similar type habitat. So this is just coming past the Chitwa bush braai area. They obviously have their guests out in this particular spot on a regular basis. I feel like having a braai now. Braai being a barbecue, if you didn't know. The South African word for barbecue. Now that barbecue is actually a French word. If you didn't, it's barbecue. And you can translate that yourself. I know the translation, it's just not that nice, really. Okay, so I'm continuing on the search, but somebody who isn't searching anymore and has a cat for you is James.
Yes, we have our cat. As you can see, he's moved a huge amount since you were last with us. The sun is slowly starting to disappear, which means the coolth of the evening is about to arrive, and perhaps that will inspire this indolent fellow to some form of action. Now, we could use those spots on his nose to describe him, which eventually we probably will have to. But really, it is difficult to identify lions from those spots unless they sit very still for a long time. It's not like the spots on leopards. Come on, fellow. I think he's actually quite sore, I'd love to know what happened to his leg. They do, David. Sometimes lions do spend their entire lives as nomads, and that often happens in predator-prey poor areas. So you might find males of the Namib or males of the Kalahari might spend most of their lives as nomads and never actually set up a proper territory, because the territory is just simply too big for them to patrol, and so essentially they are nomads. But in this area, it would be highly, highly unusual. Has it ever happened? Well, I don't know. Would it be likely? Highly unlikely. Because eventually the male's testosterone levels are going to get to the stage that he starts to mark territory and roar and try and sort of set himself up with females and mate, and that's just what his instincts will do. I suppose if a male was completely free of testosterone, if he didn't have sufficient to sort of make him want to roar or mark territory, remember it wouldn't be a conscious decision that he made, well then I suppose he may spend his life as a nomad. I think also, though, lions are social cats, although this chap is on his own, and I think eventually he would need to seek out company. And so if our nomad wasn't territorial, there isn't a pride that would tolerate him, and there certainly isn't a coalition of other males that would tolerate him. So I think if he wants friends, and if he wants children, then he cannot be a nomad his whole life. Feels slightly like a human lesson there, doesn't it? Linda, I wouldn't be. Personally, I wouldn't be against calling them after certain types of avocados. I promise you now, Linda, that if we announce, however, that we are going to name the new male coalition of Djuma after different kinds of avocados, Twitter will explode. There will be a great avalanche of resentment and anger that we were going to call our dominant male lions of Djuma and Safari Live after avocados. We've got some great options. I didn't know this. Apparently Pinkerton is a good avocado. What's the other one? Zucano? That's another good avocado. I would be fully up for it. Oh, Tucano. Tucano? I would be fully up for this, to name them after avocados. Gwen is a different kind of avocado as well, so we could have Gwen, Pinkerton and Tucano. I tell you what, let's not try and choose a name this evening, but let's... Guerto. Is Querto also? I think that we should have a poll tonight. Can we do a poll that says, should we, yes or no, name the Avoca males after avocados? I mean, those are good names we've given you there. Pinkerton, Querto, Gwen. And, well, I mean, somebody else has had the idea of naming them after Zulu kings, which, of course, was Viam's suggested something similar. But I think that, given that we're not in Zululand, we should name them after Zulu kings. Maybe Shangaan kings. But I think let's do a poll on the avos. I think that'd be quite fun. Because if you all agree that we should name them after avocados, I am fully up for it. Now you can go and find the poll. How do they do that? They go to just, if they, yeah, tell me how to do it. I don't even know. Oh, okay. So if you just go to Safari Live on Twitter, you'll see the poll, and you can vote for whether or not you think we should name these male lions after different kinds of avocados. I would do a little Google search of great avocado names. Right across from the pinkening sky, and if you look very carefully there on the horizon, you can see a little bit of the night coming up from the east, which means that the bushwalk is heading home.
Yes, we are indeed. We're just trying to sneak up on some impala, but their eyesight is way too good for us. You can't hear the noises of the rutting impala in the distance, but these poor ladies are trying to figure out, are we danger? Are we trying to catch them? While they evade the male in the east of them at the moment. The sun is setting in the west. It's a beautiful afternoon. Still really nice temperatures. I have a very strong feeling that James's male lion is likely going to get up and move pretty soon. And there's a fly that is really enjoying landing on my face. We are indeed on our way home. We're not too far from home. But one thing that we do have right over here is quite an easy thing. We've spent a bit of time talking about disturbance. And Herbie running out of shot there. I thought he was going to have a little look. There he is. I know how many of you love to see Herbie on camera. I'm sure we've seen this before. I've shown you this before. But what's characteristic is that there's one here. There's another one, another one, another one. There's a whole lot of them sort of in the middle here. And actually quite obvious that this is a wildebeest midden. And the wildebeest male likes to defecate in here. Are you ready for your screenshots there, Chris? I know Chris likes to take screenshots of me with poo. There we go. This is the wildebeest dung, and it's not very dry. As the dry season comes on, these are going to be more pellets, more separated pellets, but easily confused with waterbuck dung in the summer months because of the moisture in the dung. But as it gets dry, as the moisture dries out, like without moving, Seb, I'm just going to grab you this one. This is what waterbuck dung can look like. But you can see all the individual pellets in there. There's clearly a wildebeest. I mean, if you found this out in the open, it would be quite difficult at this time of year to know the difference. But because it's in this midden that we're in, this is where the wildebeest male likes to come. He likes to scratch, he likes to urinate and defecate and then roll in all of this. And from this vantage point, it's actually quite nice. You can see pretty far around. You can see any challenger in any distance. You can see any lion, any predator approaching. And this is kind of one of the little leks or middens that they'll use. And the closer to the middle of the territory of the wildebeest males you get, the more of these sort of spots there are. And because they are sedentary by nature, they tend to stay in one place if they're not migrating. These patches can become quite overpowering, and you lead to overgrazing and sort of destruction of the vegetation, purely because of that nature of rolling and scratching and rolling and scratching. But a nutrient hotspot for a period of time, lots of dung, clearly wildebeest male, and a spot to just sit and chill and shoot the breeze. He's got the sun setting, the sun rising. Not a bad spot indeed. Hey, Herbie? Yeah, Herbie agrees. So we're going to walk off into the setting sun on our way home before it gets too dark and before that male lion comes to try to find us again. Let's go and see if James has got any movements with his cat.
No movement whatsoever, I'm afraid. Oh, there we go. There's some movement. Have we decided yet? Has everybody decided whether he should be named after some avocados or not? I knew it. We have a So Twitter apparently is very pro avocado varietals to name these lions, but YouTube very anti. Well, I'm amazed that the Twitter audience has accepted that Avo might be a good idea. I'm not surprised, however, that anybody has objected to this. Naming is a very sensitive thing with these cats, one that I find quite amusing. Anyway, please, whatever that happens, can we not name him after something like a termite mound? I think it is one of the greatest travesties of the Sabi Sands history that one of the most beautiful animals that walks Djuma is named termite mound. It's almost as bad as the other magnificence that walks the plains of Djuma, chicken medicine. How you could call two animals of such glorious magnificence, chicken medicine and termite mound, is absolutely beyond me. I mean, the Birmingham boys have got wonderful names. The Warrior, the Authority, the Tooth. And the Tooth isn't quite so magnificent, but it is quite funny. And what's the other one? And Nsuku means yellow, doesn't it? The yellow one, the Blondie. I mean, those are quite good names. Much better than Termite Mound. Tundi, the one who is loved, the beloved. Tlalamba, the mischievous one. Who else have we got? We've got Tamba, the Rock. Hausana, the little chief. Kuchava, she who is afraid. That's not great. It's almost up there with Shidulu, but nothing is as bad as Shidulu and Hukumuri, the termite mound, and the chicken medicine. In fact, Viam's just pipped it. Quarantine, yes. We have a leopard here called Quarantine. I mean, you swear the animal was completely diseased. He's a fantastic animal. He's heir to the throne, eventually, of this area. Possible king one day, Karula's offspring, and his name is Quarantine. One thinks of plague and yellow fever and all sorts of dread disease when one hears his name. At least his brother got a better one. His brother was Kunyuma. But I believe that Ralph Kirsten, while I get myself into a frothy on naming, has found something more entertaining.
Not found anything just yet, Sir James, but we are still looking. We're just coming in here to Twin Dams area, because it's quite often this time of night when we have the odd leopard or two coming in for a drink. So I thought we'd just come pop in here, just be quiet for a minute or two. And we've got some Natal spurfowl making a racket behind us, but that's just what they do. They're not alarm calling. Very peaceful, hey? There's hardly a breath of wind. And lovely reflections on the water there. It's like a mill pond. And so that sun has set, and we're in that last little bit of twilight before it gets dark. And the nighttime animals starting to become slowly active. The daytime animals either preparing themselves for a night of worry and anxiousness, or bedding themselves up like a warthog would do, be going down into an aardvark burrow now, and just maybe doing its little last bit of housekeeping before the night's rest. Maybe the hippos have been coming out at Chitwa Dam, starting to. But for the time being, very quiet here. I think let's start up, head on, see if we can spot some predators. Vanessa, it is a wonderful picture, isn't it? Beautiful here at Twin Dams. But it would be even better if there was a leopard down drinking next to the water, wouldn't it? Right, let's go see what we can find. Not a problem. Makes you appreciate the sightings when you find them, when you've got to work a little bit for them. Strawhead, I absolutely agree with you. That's the perfect time to be fishing, just before sunset, just around sunrise as well. The best time. And if you had to fish in these little dams here, you could use art lure, you could use bait, and you could also do a fly, and I'm pretty sure all three of them would work, because you've got catfish and kerpa or tilapia, so they both are game fish, freshwater game fish, and they'll both take spinners, little poppers. They'll go for worms, they'll go for, the little crickets or whatever kind of live baits that you're going to put on, and also flies, a little woolly bugger or a crazy Charlie, any of those would work. So, and I think with these little pans not being fished, you could pretty much put whatever you like on there, and Origin, there are a lot of fish in these little pans. They haven't all been eaten, no. And there's lots of terrapins, there's lots of fish. And the only things that do eat them are obviously the kingfishers and then the odd crocodile. But they breed pretty well. And in these small pans, sometimes you get hundreds of small fish in there because they don't really have too much space to grow massive. But like Chitwa Dam, that is packed with fish. But, it's in a national park. I'm not sure if you're allowed to fish, and that's one of the bonuses. It's just left to become natural and naturally controlled as well. Maybe some of the landowners, when there's nobody around, maybe they do have a little bit of a fish just for fun. I'm sure they do catch and release. But other than that, in the national parks, normally, obviously, you're not allowed to fish. But here, this is sort of part of the greater Kruger National Park. So there are slightly relaxed rules in certain terms, like potentially on different people's properties. They would be able, if they wanted to go fishing, they probably could be allowed to. But I think they do conform to, in general, the general rules of the national park as well. So I'm sure catch and release would be the order of the day if they do go fishing. Well, catfish, they can be very good eating if cooked in the right way. What little birdie was that? Looks just like a... Oh, it's a kingfisher. Look, and he hasn't even flown off. Look at that. Wow. Now he has. There he sits. I don't know if you can see him. He's probably just a bit of a silhouette there, Craig. Oh, no. You can see him quite nicely. There he goes. Oh, and he's just swallowed something down. A brown-hooded kingfisher. And we've got some arrow-marked babblers babbling away just off on our left-hand side here, making a hell of a racket. There's some of them all piling up into the tree, quite silhouetted there. Look at that. Oh, arrow-marked babblers. Also cooperative breeders. So that's one big family unit. It's like a gang. A mob. And off they go. You see one goes, they're all going to go now. And go and make a racket at the next stop. That's pretty cool. I like the arrow-marked babblers. I like all the cooperative breeders, like the helmet sharks, the arrow-marked babblers, the green woodoo-poos, the oxpeckers. They're all, you know, it's a very socialist type grouping. I'm not talking anything governance type things. I'm just talking in terms of being in the bush and that grouping type gregarious nature. You're really upping the chances of survival when you're going in a group like that. It's lovely to watch. Alright everyone, so we're heading into that last little few minutes of twilight. It's almost, if we put the lights on now, it's not going to be that bright, but going to be dark very soon. And so I'm sure that the bushwalk team is heading into the last few minutes of their walk. Let's head on over to Steve. He's going on leave soon, so I think he'd like to say goodbye.
We are heading home. The light is fading. It is starting to get dark. The alarm clocks of the evening, the Franklins are shouting their chorus. Had some mongooses bedding down for the night. We tried to capture them on camera, but they were just a little bit too fast and maybe a bit too shy for this time of day. It would be lovely if we could get a group of mongooses and habituate them, that we could get right up close and experience them from day to day. There's a buffalo thorn that wanted me to wait a little bit. Lovely. So indeed, I'm headed on away for 2 weeks. I'll be back on the 24th. So it has been a marvelous cycle. I've enjoyed myself thoroughly. We've had epic sightings of leopards and lions and all things wonderful. 3 episodes of Safari Lives. What more can I say? So from my side and from Seb, have a fantastic evening. Enjoy the rest of your drive with James and Ralph. Thanks, Coast Rider. I will enjoy it immensely. There's a silent retreat, so I will be losing myself there. And while we do that, and while I disappear into the wilderness, let's go to James with his lion.
Look at what our lion's doing, everybody. He's about to go hunting. Woohoo! That's why we're waiting here. He's going to go hunting now. You see, he's just doing the pre-hunting ear flick. Perhaps a pre-hunting sigh. Perhaps he'll even roar "ow" into the night and then go hunting. I'm saying the word hunting as often as I can to inspire him, because hunting is what lions should do. When they're hungry, lions need to go hunting. No. How about roaring? Maybe lions should roar. I think lions should roar. Roaring will attract your friends. Bring them back here. Roaring will send a signal to the Birmingham boys that this is where you live, this is where you're going to be. Roaring, most of all, will inspire the people who are going to name you. Possibly after an avocado. But probably not. Good. Okay. Luke says, and I'm not sure why, but at this rate, he's very quickly going to be named Pinkerton. Pinkerton is a great name, everybody. Come on. Surely we agree that Pinkerton would be a fantastic name. In the same way as Mr. Bigglesworth would have been a great name for Tumba, before he called him Tumba. Mr. Bigglesworth he was going to be. What was that, Luke, about Pinkerton? Right, it's held zero threat to it, exactly. And that's what we need to do. We don't want lions to be vilified, we want them to be seen in the same light as Paddington Bear. You know, nobody was ever scared of Paddington Bear or Winnie the Pooh, and so we'd like Mr. Pinkerton the lion to take on the mantle of convincing the world that wild animals are not savages that will tear us limb from limb. Now, there is a lot of debate on this, Stefan, and I am of one school. I know Steve is of another. I do not believe that lions hunt into the wind on purpose. I think it happens by chance. There's also a debate as to whether or not they do it to mask their own smell or because they smell something coming on the wind. Now, if I was to ever agree that lions did hunt, against the wind, I would do so because I believe that they smelt something in the wind coming towards them, not because they were trying to mask their own scent. And certainly I've heard people say, well, you see, when lions get up in the night, they start to move into the prevailing wind in order to mask their own scent. There are a few reasons I don't buy that. Firstly, I haven't yet to see it be consistently applied. Secondly, if they always walked against the prevailing wind, certainly in Kenya, they'd end up in the northwest corner of the country against the border fence, all of them, and not evenly distributed like they are here and there. And if these chaps did it, it would be the opposite. They'd end up on the south, where would it be, where the wind comes from the southwest, the southeast normally, and so they would end up on the northwest corner. No, the other way around. They'd end up in the southeast corner. They'd all end up at Kruger, the main camp there, wondering what to do next. Oh, Lillian, I think what you need to do is to watch the migration season coming up, hopefully in July and August. If we're very lucky, what will happen is that you will see that lions do not always kill just for food, and sometimes it does seem to be purely for sport. They don't. Young lions will absolutely play with half-dead prey in the same way that Viam's house cat, for example, will play with a half-dead mouse. Not so, Viam? Yes, he's nodding and looking quite ashamed, which he should. So they will do that, and they will, as adults, kill for sport sometimes. Certainly we will see that in the migration season. We watched my most sort of harrowing sighting, I think, well, naturally enough in the rain, was with the Salt Lick Pride that killed 8 wildebeest. I think it was 8, maybe 6 wildebeest, in 20 minutes. They didn't eat any of them. And they started off by almost torturing a sort of sickly bull to death. He was walking horribly down the road and they jumped on his back. Then they ate off his nether regions and left him writhing in pain on the road. It was a horrific thing to see. And so, yes, whether that you describe that as playing with their food or not, or with their prey or not, I don't know, but certainly they kill for sport if they're not particularly hungry. This guy doesn't do anything for sport. In fact, he doesn't do anything at all. Steve? Oh, he sleeps for sport. Yes, a good point there, Viam. Viam says he sleeps for sport. He's a champion at the sleep sport. And by this time on Saturday, the Nkuhuma Pride were up on the hunt. We had a magnificent time with them. That's also intended, I've said that so loudly that he would hear it and be inspired by jealousy to get up and perform. But he is not inspired so. Let me keep quiet for 15 seconds. I'm not sure why I picked 15. It might not be exactly 15. Let's see if we can pick up some late autumnal evening sounds. It's quite quiet. You can see there really isn't a huge amount of sound around here. It's almost as if the lion has created a vacuum of birdsong around him. I don't think that is the case. I think it's just that the birds are moving into their winter sort of modus operandi, which means that they just don't make quite enough or quite the same sound. One or two robins in the far distance, one or two francolins, and very little insect song. One or two crickets. All right, Lucas, we need to go to infrared. Are you ready, Lucas? Are you ready? On the count of 1, oh, no. While we do that, I believe that Ralph Kirsten is already in black and white.
Well, everyone, yes, the night game drive has begun. We have switched to infrared night vision, but that doesn't mean that I can see in night vision. You guys can. But it's also just an indication that you understand that there is a slightly different color that you're seeing there on the screen. And that means that you guys can see everything without having to have the spotlight on it. But I still need to spot it, and then we can zoom in on it and we can turn the lights off and the animals can just carry on with their natural behavior. That's the idea anyway, and let's just see if we can spot something. I'm always very careful not to shine on animals that are normally daytime active, because the spotlight and the lights can confuse them a little bit and then just change their natural behavior. So that's the reason why we don't particularly stop for day active animals. Paula, I will do my best to look for a chameleon just for you. Thanks for commenting, so that's what you're hoping for. I'm going to look for a chameleon, and we've been quite lucky with them of late. Brent's found, Iowa had one, Taylor had one. So we'll keep our eyes out. They generally aren't in the thorny type bushes or trees. Romet, the most intrusive animal at our camp. I'd have to say there's a couple of them. Probably monkeys during the day. They come down and they try to get in the dustbins, which we have to put away and make sure that they're away. And they run across the roofs every day, making a lot of noise. So during the day, probably them, but we also have the squirrels and the little mongoose that also, if you leave the kitchen open, they can also sneakily come in. They're not very intrusive. So the monkey's probably the worst during the day. Even the hornbills, they come down and they're in the middle of camp and they're all about, but not intrusive as well. So I'd say the monkeys, probably the worst during the day. And then at night, it's probably a hyena as well. And yes, Luke just reminding me that we've got a disco ball, those mirror balls in our sort of courtyard. It's hanging in the tree. I don't know, you actually got it up very high in the tree like that. And the hornbills, if you know hornbills, they're quite silly when it comes to windows and their reflection, and they will pick at their reflection almost to infinitum. So we've got a disco ball there, and luckily it's broken up with small mirrors that they it sort of drifts and then they can't see themselves anymore, but they do spend quite a bit of time pecking at themselves at the mirror ball as well. So, but that's, as I say, not particularly intrusive. Mostly the monkeys, and then at night the hyenas. If we leave the dustbin out, the dustbin will get dragged up to 10 kilometers away from camp. So yes, we need to lock it away inside the kitchen, and if it is not locked away inside the kitchen, or the door is forgotten open, well, there is chaos in the morning. And speaking of nighttime predators, it seems that James is still with the lion. Let's hope that it gets up and actually gives you a show.
Willem's latest comment for this lion, as Luke told us he was going to link across, was, James, This lion is now in REM sleep, which is absolutely correct. He is in REM sleep, which is quite amusing, really. And he's not doing very much at all. In fact, he's not even moving an ear. Thankfully, the movement of the grass indicates that we don't have a technical issue. Now we have a lovely question from Some New, aged just 9 years old, and you say, what happens after midnight here? Do we hear sounds? Well, Some New, sometimes I hear sounds in the camp, sometimes I hear the loud laughter of some of the people I work with, but that's only on very special occasions. Most of the time, actually, it's quite quiet in the camp, but out in the bush, yes, it is quite noisy. You'll hear hyenas going, you'll hear lions going, ooh. You might hear leopards going, you'll hear owls going, you might hear frogs in the summertime. Lovely schools of the frogs. There we have a lion up now. Maybe he'll give us a roar. Some New. And in summer, Some New, it's very noisy at night. You can hear frogs and insects and some birds calling. In winter, it tends to be a lot more quiet. Now, what we would also be able to tell from the movement of his head is if he can hear a lion calling, he'll turn his head towards that lion. So it would be quite nice to know if he's listening out for his mates, and I wonder if he hasn't heard something to the north there. Ooh! Ralph's got a gummy bear.
Oh, okay, everyone. Well, we've spotted a couple of bush babies here, but they are almost impossible to try and keep still. So very difficult camera work and very difficult to spot as well. I'm just going to wait a second or two for us to see if he shows himself, and then I might just move forward a little bit. But you need to look carefully, everybody. You might just get one quick little view on it. These are lesser bush babies, and they really jump around. They can jump up to 5 meters. There was one just there now, but they are also quite shy. So when the vehicle starts up, then you sometimes lose them. And I believe now we've probably seen the last of them, unfortunately. You have to be very, very quick. But sometimes you just get lucky that you can just see them a little bit before they disappear. Let me just go down a little bit. I doubt whether we're going to be able to get close, but I will just try. Kathy in Ohio. Well, this is also one of my favorite little nighttime critters, and that is the lesser bush baby. But for us to actually see it now again might be nearly impossible. But let's just try our luck down here a little bit. They've got a very high-pitched little squeal as well. And you often just get lucky that you spot their eyes in the dark. Sorry if I'm moving the torch around a lot. I'm just trying to see if I can spot their eyes in the thicket. Maybe there's another one around. I'll just keep scanning. There were 2. I think they have now moved off. Unlucky for us. Okay, so I'm going to continue on. Maybe we'll see some more, maybe we'll get lucky, but it seems James's lion has lifted its head.
Well, yes, it has lifted its head, but I mean, you saw that before you left. He has now yawned and is licking his chops. So perchance he's going to have a little roar. How about a roar? Yes, tell everybody you hear. Announce your arrival. Be brave and strong and true. Or just sit there and do nothing. Just lick your foot all day long and all night long. Ginger, I think that the answer to your question lies in your own heart, really. You know if you can win a fight, or if you think you can win a fight, and you will engage in that fight if you think you can win it. And I think lions are exactly the same, Ginger. Certainly that was the case when the Matimba boys fled in the face of the Birmingham arrival. 2 of them gave way to 5 Birmingham boys. They did not put up a fight. There was no physical confrontation as far as we're aware. And in fact, they went down and sort of gave up on territorial life and lived in retirement at Londolozi, because I think they realized they couldn't win that fight. Now these guys are evenly matched, well, relatively evenly matched for 2 Birmingham boys. If all 4 of them were to return here, they'd put these Avocas to flight. The Birminghams are not afraid of a physical confrontation, because they know that as a coalition of 4, it'd be very difficult for anyone to beat them. And so I think absolutely most animals out here will judge whether they can win a fight or not, and then make a sort of call as to whether to run or engage. In fact, possibly even more so than human beings. Now, Minamu, you can see exactly now why, or the advantage of that white under the lion's eye. It is said to be there to reflect light into the eye at night, and I think that's a very good reason for having it. You can see it's right there under his eye and reflecting light directly into it, so I think it just helps him to see a little bit at night. Under the nose there's no real white that I can see. Certainly Nyala have got white lipstick, but the lions don't. Cheetah, of course, have the opposite, and we think that's to stop reflecting light in the day. That's true, I don't know. Cheetah will hunt at night in the absence of other nocturnal predators. Lions and leopards, or leopards certainly, will hunt, and they've also got that white underneath their eyes. They will hunt in the day in the absence of other competition. In fact, most of the time leopards will happily hunt in the day. I'm not sure. There's a moth flying by, you saw that, its eye shining in the infrared. Isn't that cool? Let's see if we can get a decent shot. That's very cool. I think it's a moth. Anyway, he's a very accurate hoverer, is that insect. Yeah, this chap's foot is very sore. Alright everyone, that's going to be it from this lion. We're going to head home and to the glorious cooking of happiness. I'm sure Ralph Kirsten, oh, look at that, is going to do the same.
Well, everyone, look at that. You can see now, this is not the spotlight, hey? Remember, it's infrared. And that little baby having a nice old drink from Mom. And, well, as we watch these wildebeest just moving up towards quarantine, shame, they need to keep their eyes and ears open during the night. And, well, let's hope they survive the night. It's a tough one for them, but they seem quite happy, all relaxed, grazing along. That's why they like the open area of quarantine, I believe. Anyway, it's been quite a frustrating day for me. I've been really looking for cats, but haven't had much luck. But that's the way of the wild. We can't put these things in cages, and they're not standing on ceremony. So I'll just have to keep trying hard, and that's it. So that's it for me as well. I'll say good night, and, well, we'll see you all tomorrow. But off to James for now.
Yes, so actually we are not finished with you just yet. Now, I'm talking like this because I don't want to move my mouth, because it'll shake the camera. That is Jupiter, and you can see its moons. Is that not amazing? There's the 3 moons of Jupiter. Jupiter's got, I think, at last count, over 50 moons. It may even be more than that now. I'm not sure what that thing down towards the far right-hand side is. I think that's just a star. But Jupiter's moons are in glorious display this evening. They're so bright you can almost see them with the naked eye. Not quite. That is very cool. The lion is fascinated by astronomy there. You can see he's staring at the heavens in absolute wonderment. Would you stop licking your foot? It's all you've done all day. Other than sleep. A moth is still flying around. Pearl-spotted owl calling. 2 of them. Righty, well, we're nearly done, everybody. Fear not, we are not yet decided on how we are going to decide what to call these lions, so I don't want anybody to spend the rest of their days or evenings worried that we are going to call them after avocados, if that isn't what you want, or after something else that you don't really want. Bear in mind, of course, that you will inevitably be slightly disappointed by the names that are eventually chosen, because, well, it is not possible to please everyone. Such is the way of life out here, of course, but I do think that we should get on to the process of naming these magnificent Avoca boys. Let us have one last look at the moon, not the lion, not the moon, the Jupiter and its moons. Paula, you say I mustn't scold him. Well, Paula, my father always scolds Fenton the dog when he licks his paws. I feel it's only fair that I should do the same to this lion. A lot of you have spent a lot of your time watching him, waiting for him to get up and be magnificent, which he is. It's an absolutely astounding picture of the largest planet in our solar system. All right, everybody, that is going to be it from us this evening. I thank you profoundly for joining us and in putting up with our sort of slow cat, but we had some great chat, some wonderful talks, and of course Ralph and Steve did their bit, as did Herbert. So until tomorrow, stay safe and happy wherever you are. We'll see you at 6:30 in the morning. Bye-bye.